land.
Welcome to the Patriot Punkcast. Tonight, we are going to update you on the early voting turnout. Right now, Tennessee is pretty assuredly going to go to Trump, but is the turnout going to go the same way it did in 2020? Are we going to see a lot of mail-in or absentee ballots? We're going to get into all of that. We're also going to discuss a deputy court clerk out of East Tennessee who was caught allegedly trying to seal her own criminal records. That and then the big part of tonight's discussion is going to be on immigration. That is probably the hottest issue other than maybe the economy in this year's presidential election. And it's really impacting Tennessee, some districts more than others. And I don't think we all understand just how bad the problem has gotten. We've got an immigration expert, you might say, on with us today, at least a refugee expert of the political variety. And I think it should be a really good, fun show. But before we get started, let me remind you all to smash that like button, share the show with your friends, and I want to bring to your attention some of our sponsors this evening. Now, let me just switch this around. Obviously, we are the Patriot Punk Network, and we would really appreciate your support. So please check out patriotpunknetwork.com. There we will be updating new news stories, as well as providing some more national politics coming soon. Different opinions on Ukraine, maybe cryptocurrency, as well as some of the trends with Supreme Court cases and a whole bunch of other stuff. That'll be coming after the election. You can also check out the Insiders tab. If you are an insider and have information regarding corruption or government waste, fraud, or abuse, you can submit it anonymously on our website. And you can also check out some of our videos, everything from election integrity, national stories. Sometimes we just like to make fun of people. And while you're there, we do ask that you visit the support page and drop us a one-time tip. We are entirely self-funded or, self-funded basically is what we're at. So we fund ourselves even through our own part-time businesses. So if you really enjoy the information we provide you or you enjoy watching the show, please visit us. Drop us a $5 tip, $10 tip, whatever you can afford. Gas is expensive, and so are open records requests. And you can also hop on over to midtnkirby.com. I am an authorized Kirby dealer. I've been in Kirby almost my entire life. If you join the Telegram channel, I'll probably be posting a picture of myself from 30 years ago, proving that I've been in Kirby my whole life. Kirby has been made in America for 110 years, and they're way more than just a vacuum. They have a certified gold standard for carpet shampoo systems, but they also have HEPA filtration. They do hardwoods, tile, upholstery. They clean out your car. They vacuum your mattress, and they can even blow up balloons. I have even unclogged a few drains successfully with that. And then last but absolutely not least, we have A State of Creative over on Facebook. A State of Creative specializes in refurbished, like new furniture. Save yourself up to 50% off of standard retail and get an extra $50 off if you use promo code Patriot Punk. Just say you heard about the show or heard about the State of Creative on the Patriot Punkcast. They will give you an extra $50 off. Right now, they've got 15 or 20 different pieces of furniture. Fantastic if you're moving, if you're getting a starter home. They offer free delivery if you're within, I think it's a 30-minute drive of their area. If not, they just ask for gas money. Definitely check them out. Tell them that the Patriot Punk Network sent you. Now that all of that's out of the way, let me bring in my very special, frustrated, and overworked co-host, my good friend Daniel Wagner.
God, what made you think I was frustrated? Jeez.
I don't know, but you sure clean up nice. What happened? You looked like a scrub 10 minutes ago.
I know.
Yeah, that's spiffy. Are you getting family pictures taken, or are you going to a funeral?
No.
Oh, well, you're awfully dressed up.
It's just a t-shirt, man, or it's just a little button up, nothing fancy. Keep the glasses and the hat right here next to for the show uniform and everything. Anyway.
Well, I'm looking forward to tonight. I think it's good this close to an election to really bring national issues home and to focus on the effects that they're having nationally, because your opinion if you live at Eagle Pass is going to be much different than if you live in Nashville, Tennessee. But maybe it shouldn't, because we could be dealing with some of the same issues. Joining us to talk about this is the writer for the Tennessee Conservative, Olivia Lupia. How are you, Olivia?
I'm doing great. How are you
We're
guys?
fantastic. Can you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do?
Absolutely. So I am a political refugee, so to speak, from the once great state of Colorado. I lived there for over 20 years. I grew up there, and things got really bad. They got very, very just. I mean, we've seen what's happened in Aurora. Just a handful of apartment complexes, so it's okay, but. Not my ideal environment. I was very active politically in Colorado. I ran for office. I've helped manage campaigns and all the fun stuff that comes with that, threats and slash tires and all the goodies. So moved to Tennessee in almost 2 years ago now. Kind of can't believe it's been that long already, and dove in feet first here because I know what's coming if Tennessee doesn't get their crap together, for lack of a better term. And have now had the privilege of writing for the Tennessee Conservative, which is easily the best job I've ever had. So shout out to Brandon and Jason and the whole team over there because they're phenomenal.
That's awesome. Yeah, we cover a lot of the Tennessee Conservatives articles here. We try to get a variety of articles, but the Tennessee Conservative has definitely made several appearances, just like my cat's trying to make an appearance on the show tonight. But so before we get started on the early voting turnout, let me remind you, if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, you are going to only get the first part of this show. If you want to find out why Phil Williams blocked me or all the different impacts of immigration, then you're going to need to check us out on X or on Rumble. So just a friendly reminder before we get started. So have you seen anything, Olivia, about the voter turnout this year?
Yes, so it's very interesting. Obviously, I've got my eye on Tennessee, but nationally, because it's a big deal. But yeah, Tennessee is experiencing record early turnout, which I think is not only saying something because of that tells you where the political climate is just in general, but for Tennessee, which has historically had such poor turnout and such low voter registration in general. So to see so many areas having this huge boom in early voter turnout is I have mixed feelings about it. I think it's something worth noting, but I'm not I'm not as excited about it, I think, as some people would want me
Yeah,
to be.
Daniel, just while we're talking about this, I think if you can pull up the statewide early voting turnout from the Telegram chat, that we just bring it up on screen and kind of look at it. But one of the things that I've noticed, because I infiltrated a couple of leftist groups or semi-infiltrated them. It's hard to infiltrate something that's completely on Zoom. And you've got to be accessible for all of this. But the one of the things I've seen is that they have been pushing rideshare to vote for the
Mhm.
past 6 months. They've been organizing it. Before that, and up until the voter registration deadline, they were registering new voters every day, all the time. Now, to be fair, they don't have a whole lot of volunteers, but I'm concerned that they have developed infrastructure growing and taking advantage of the under 27 crowd, 25, 26 people who 4 years ago were in college or younger, because those people might not have experienced a Trump presidency and how awesome life was compared to how it is now.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. Just like you said, I think the key is building infrastructure there. Like it's a very deliberated, targeted effort for a certain demographic, and it's exciting, but it just leads me to you always have to question like why. That's my biggest thing is there's always another question to be asked.
Well, and Daniel, I know this isn't actually in the chat, but I sent you a screenshot of a Tennessee Holler post, and I kind of think that this almost epitomizes how the liberals target. And it's not that I want you to jump off of that, but Tennessee Holler posted some headlines from 2019 talking about how Trump's tariffs were going to, how they were detrimental to the Tennessee economy. And, with all due respect, unless you're 5 years old, you were alive in 2019. And please harm us with those 2.5% mortgage rates and the record job growth. And no, and the only people I think who can buy that are the young 20, 30 and under crowd. Is that what you're seeing, like on the ground where you're at, or who do you see at these events that support the liberals?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because you've got this. I think you do have this young demographic who, because of the massively flawed, needs to completely go away public education system we have, you're seeing these kids don't understand. They're easily bought. Oh, okay, well, Trump equals bad tariffs, because they don't even understand basic economic principles of how a tariff works or how that actually benefits you, or simple economic things. I think I watched a hearing where, was it maybe Rep Massey in Congress? I forget. One of those Spitfires was literally explaining money devaluation using tea and water to dilute the cup, to show like the more money you put in, the less it's worth. I mean, literally having to explain to grown adults how money devaluation works when you have record high inflation, right? So I think that's part of why these younger people are, I guess, more easily swayed. And again, say what you will for the public school system, but their entire focus is to create worker drones, not independent critical thinkers. So you have that aspect. On the other hand, you have record turnout of these younger individuals actually swinging conservatively, because there's a massive sense of revival. Like over the summer, we watched those awesome frat boys. I forget which university they were from, but defend the American flag while all of those pro-Palestine and pro-Hamas protests, if you can even call them that, were going on. And you've got, I just watched the interview this morning of they're 20-year-olds from 20-year-old Christian boys who showed up to the Kamala Harris rally, which, by the way, was in their school's auditorium, which means that their tuition money went to paying for a Kamala rally. But the ones that shouted out Jesus is Lord and Jesus is King, and were silenced and things like that. So it's this really interesting dichotomy, and I'm not 100% sure that it's really even settled one way or the other.
So unless Daniel wants to say something about printing money, because it looked like he wanted to say something earlier.
No, I just noticed that I saw that video as well with the guy getting kicked out for saying Jesus is Lord. And I mean, I didn't see it. Again, it looks like an out of context clip like they do to the right all the time. I would imagine if anybody is being that disruptive in any kind of environment like that, they would be kicked out regardless of what he was saying. So, I mean, I'd take that one with a grain of salt, unless you've seen the rest of the clip and that is in fact what happened, but I'm not.
No, and I did, because again, you have to be careful. Any media outlet is looking for headlines and grabs, but I ended up watching several eyewitness accounts and other angles of the video, and yeah, not that you can be again, anyone being disruptive to that level, but just the point that they're willing, my point in bringing it up is that we've got these younger, I don't know a lot of 20-year-old guys that are willing to stand up and say what they believe and be willing to be, other than when, you see the videos of like college lefties going crazy on Charlie Kirk.
If it had been a Charlie Kirk speech or a Donald Trump rally, someone would have had the cojones to stand up and say like F the popo or something. Yeah, we've been seeing that forever. But to your point, I do think that the culture's swinging a little bit back to the conservative side. And I think Trump highlighted that 100% at the Al Smith dinner when he talked about the white dudes for Trump, and he said it's okay because their wives and their wives' boyfriends are all going to support me. And the left has gone so far left that it's overly emotional women, no offense, but blue-haired crazy theater kid women and blue-haired crazy theater kid beta males. That is what the left is. And no offense to the theater kids that are not like that. But at least growing up in my generation, and not to be rude, but are you in your 30s?
I'm still in
Okay,
my 20s,
okay.
believe
So
it or not.
were the theater kids a little odd?
Yeah, well, I'm one of those normal theater
Okay.
kids,
Oh, so
actually.
you
So
know who I'm talking about. The
oh
kids
yeah,
that, wore wings,
they're
were a
nuts.
tail to school.
Yeah, I mean, and it's gotten even worse since I graduated college, whatever it was 7, 8 years ago now. But it, yeah, it's really interesting because there's a very clear line in the sand, and I think particularly the younger demographic is waking up to that. I actually think there's a lot of the more like older millennial generation. Those are the ones that I'm seeing who are like, well, I'm just going to sit this one out, who are really taking to the sidelines. And I just think that that's super
So,
interesting.
looking at this trend for the actual statewide turnout, it looks like the first day we started off a little lower than 2020, but that you have to take into account the absentee and mail outs for nursing homes and things like that. They made some exceptions uh, for when you could do in 2020. They do
Yeah.
nursing homes and things like that a few days earlier. Uh,
Well, I'll even just interject, sorry, but to throw even more context behind that, like Shelby County, for example, they don't have any data for 2020 because COVID.
yeah,
So, it's almost like an
yeah,
impossible
Oh,
yeah.
comparison.
wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have data. Go figure. No, but it shows that over 200,000 people voted on the first day, and that now we're looking at about another 300,000 people plus have voted. So we've had 500,000 people vote, which is, I think, in 2020 we ended up having about 3 million something people vote in Tennessee. So I think we're on track to have even higher turnout. It's I'm I'm not convinced that you're going to see the down ticket races go the way we want. I think that the ground game of some of these, like Rutherford County candidate, I don't know who the Planned Parenthood candidate that they're running is, but
Mm-mm.
some of the local candidates, and like Marsha Blackburn, she has no chance of losing, I don't think, but she's at a statewide level. In the smaller races, Clarksville, where you've got Allie Phillips, I think is her name,
Yeah.
and then you've got Mesa, I think his name is, running in Rutherford County. Some of those races, we got to be careful because the liberals have 100%. Every person who has expressed even maybe voting for liberals has a free ride to the polls and gets 7 or 8 emails a week reminding them how big of a threat Donald Trump is to democracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in 2020, they already had a huge network set up. We were already aware of this. Very well organized, very, very all about taking that early vote, taking advantage of that early voting opportunity, mail-in voting opportunity, and whatnot. And I think this time around, at least what I hope happens, is you see a lot more Republicans actually realizing that they're playing on on an uneven playing field if they don't participate in the early voting. Whereas most Republicans are all about the day of voting, paper ballots. They want it one way, and I think that's going to be their downfall if they don't start playing by the rules that the left's playing by.
My fear with the level of technology, and again, especially since the voter registration deadline took place, my email that I used to infiltrate the Tennessee Advocates for Planned Parenthood has gone off 3 times a day, almost every single day, from different names reminding me. Republicans wouldn't do that because they know that that's going to tick you off and you're going to unsubscribe. They don't care. I think that they've used their tech influence and the fact that everyone lives on a phone, and you can call it, like Project, Bluebeam or whatever the mind control one is, if you want to. But the fact of the matter is that they have found a way, I think, to basically get people, a certain percentage of people to vote if they put them through X, Y, and Z. And the Republicans, we didn't register. We had no voter registration drives that I saw, maybe a couple of, good attempts, but nothing of substance. And I haven't seen a single ride share offer in Tennessee. So I don't know that, you said that Colorado went to hell in a handbasket. I don't know that Republicans are doing enough to stop it here.
And I would agree with that. If you were to ask me, as someone on the outside, and I will tell you, as someone on the outside, for whatever reason, Tennesseans, kind of the born and bred long timers, really, if you haven't lived in Tennessee 10 plus years, like, your opinion is null and void, right? Okay, whatever. That's kind of silly, but yeah, you've got Colorado so there's kind of two big issues. Number one, in Tennessee, it's complacency. Tennessee, people, I think, forget that not too long ago, Tennessee was a blue state. It hasn't always been this, conservative bastion of freedom. And I sort of say that word lightly. It's better than a lot of other places, so I'll say that for sure. But it has its issues, and there's so much like, well, we're a red state, so we're going to stay red, and it's like, no, Colorado was a deep, deep, deep red state when I was a little girl. I mean, there was no thought of voting blue was, like, it was absurd. And then you had all the Californians start moving in. And then our Republican Secretary of State, Wayne Williams, brought Dominion voting into Colorado. And after that, forget it. So we made the change to Dominion voting. You made the change to all mail-in voting. And then you've got every election at the tip of your fingers. And that's one of my problems with early voting. I know there's a lot of conversation about, is it good, is it bad? And I hear what people are saying about ballot chasing and all that kind of stuff. But and ideally, of course, yeah, I'm one of those paper ballots with ID on election day. We hand counted ballots up until a decade or less ago, and amazingly, we all had results on election night. So that's all well and good. That's ideal.
One of the things that you mentioned, we used to be a deep blue state. I went and saw Secretary of State Trey Hargett at a Coffee County GOP meeting about a year ago, a little over a year ago. And see, there's been some allegations in the past, and you can check those out on my website under the election integrity section. But the crowd that hangs out with Trey Hargett and Mark Goins are primarily responsible, it seems, for ES&S voting machines coming into Tennessee. And I would be fine with like a Scantron type system where, I don't mind using a machine to assist in counting, although it would be much simpler just to count it. But the biggest issue I have with Tennessee elections are that you virtually have no chance in hell of being able to actually audit the votes versus the thing. If it was like a Scantron where everyone fills out a bubble, and then at the end, if the numbers were iffy, or if someone wanted to audit it, you could check the bubbles versus that would be one thing. But that's not what we have. We have a barcode that could be telling them that you voted for Ronald McDonald and Bugs Bunny.
Exactly.
And unless you are like one of two people who they view as having standing and can argue that you have enough information that would affect the outcome of the election, enough instances of it, and you have to do all of this within like 2 weeks, even if they file motions to dismiss, it's impossible.
Well, the problem is these things are designed to be rigged. There's just no question about it. I mean, if they really, everybody knows what it takes to have a secure election and to give people that peace of mind that we do have a secure election. The problem is this whole entire system is designed this way. They want it that way, and the people in power know how to control those levers in such a way so that they can maintain that struggle or that hold on power. And the problem is the only way to fix it is by getting those people who currently hold those levers of power to change the system. And it's just kind of a catch-22 that I don't know how you get past.
Tar and feathering.
I mean, I got plenty of feathers ready available.
I will, maybe we can, instead of tar and feathering, it is 2024. Maybe we can get Mike Lindell to sponsor, like, you can make it tar and pillow cubes or something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. Yes. Oh
So
my gosh. God bless Mike. Yes. And he
yes,
would probably come up with some sort of revolutionary something, and it would be amazing.
we can recycle old My Pillows. He can then take trade-ins. Hey, is
Yes.
your My Pillow worn out, smell like sweat? Trade it in, and we'll shred it and throw it on a politician.
Love
Yeah.
it. Yes. And you see, green and, you know, green and efficient. So what can you say? But
Yep. Yep.
yeah, it's super interesting.
Yep. So, one thing that we did forget to speak about at the very, very beginning of the show is that the Convoy to Save America is raising money and coats and winter supply items to take to the victims of the Hurricane Helene out in East Tennessee and North Carolina. So I'm going to let Daniel take that over real quick before we hop off Facebook and YouTube.
That is correct. Yeah, we spoke about this last week. We are currently working on trying to find additional drop-off locations around Middle Tennessee. We've got a couple more than we had last week. And then we have officially, well, sorry, it's basically we're picking up winter clothing, winter items, things like that. We have a very specific list here on this flyer available at Convoy to Save America or hashtag Convoy to Save America. You should be able to find it, no problem. I've got a list of drop-off locations available as well. If I switch over like so, there's about 4 of them available right now. And again, we're looking for some additional ones as well. Now, we did yesterday announce the deadline for drop off is October 31st. We will be spending the next day sorting through, organizing everything. And then after that, we will be delivering it to the victims of the hurricane down there. And last but not least, if you're not able to donate items, we also have a Give, Send, Go that you can donate to. We've already raised $3,000 on that, which is fantastic. I absolutely love and appreciate the support. But it's givesendgo.com/hurricane flood victims if you wanted to help with that as well. And that's it. That's all I got.
Yep. Well, we are, again, please check that out, support that. And we are going to be hopping off of Facebook and YouTube here so we can talk about the altered/sealed criminal file and immigration and all the different impacts on Tennessee. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, we appreciate it. We love your support, but we don't like the platform. So hop on over to Rumble or X and we will check you out there.